Behind me is the Runza at 56th and Holdrege Streets in Northeast Lincoln, and I'm going to be eating here today and trying out their onion rings to see if they live up to the hype. Now, last time I was a little disappointed with the fries when they were just by themselves, so I think I'm going to get a little dipping sauce to really truly test these onion rings, give them a chance to succeed at least, and if they're even better by themselves, I might have to give them some bonus points. All right, can I get the double dipped onion rings and a side of ketchup? Okay, thanks. Thank you. Have a great day. So we've got the bag of onion rings right here. Let's see if they're any good. So they're totally overflowing this little weak sauce, I don't know, onion ring pouch. But it's kind of nice because it makes you feel like you're really getting a lot. Also, it's another $1.09 happy hour type deal. These onion rings, only $1.09 to that Nebraska economy. So I'll let you get a good look at these. Golden brown. They say they're double dipped onion rings, whatever that means. I do not know, but sounds cool. Now, I'm not typically a fan of onion rings, like it's not usually my go-to, but these are pretty good for being onion rings. Now, I just realized I started digging in without even getting to that ketchup, but already I'd say these are a little bit better than those Runza fries I had. So they are coated really well. In fact, take a look at this. In fact, I'm not even really missing the ketchup that much, but now that I remembered that I have ketchup, I definitely am gonna try it. Now, Runza ketchup is actually just Heinz ketchup, so nothing real special there. Unlike that Runza ranch that I've been hearing all the hype about. Don't worry, I'll try that eventually. But yeah, we got tomato ketchup that says it has to be Heinz. Is it any good with this though? Scared I'm gonna make a mess in the back of the car here. Don't worry, Mom, it's all right. Got right here, that's all the ketchup you need. Now this is a taste I could get behind. Now this still is a lot of fried food, and like I said, I'm not a big fried foods guy, so I guess I'm gonna be having a long summer going to fast food all the time. But for being onion rings, these are pretty solid, and I would say the onion rings on their own, maybe a 5 or 5.5 out of 10, but when you add in the ketchup, it's 6, maybe even 7. Yeah. You know what? Partly because I don't typically love onion rings and fried food, and I actually kind of like these. So yeah, I'll give these a 7 out of 10. Still maybe not my go-to snack, but you know, as far as if you had to ask me to rate Runza onion rings, yeah, it's a 7 out of 10. Anyway, overall not a bad afternoon snack here at Runza number 5. So if you're ever at Runza, you know, I would recommend the onion rings, especially if you're a big onion rings person, definitely get these, because I'm not, and I'm still giving this a 7 out of 10. Anyway, great job, Runza, and I'll be back again tomorrow. So while those onion rings were good, there is of course a greater purpose to this episode, and that is because I wanted to look at how Lincoln City libraries are addressing the coronavirus and just kind of talking more about the importance of having strong public libraries in the city. So to do that, I visited the Anderson branch in Northeast Lincoln to speak with a librarian to learn a little bit more about how they have handled the coronavirus.
Probably the biggest challenge is just the lack of knowing what to expect, especially when the pandemic first was starting, not knowing if it was safe to have customers in the building, what the protocols were, how you contract it, how readily you can contract it. So I think just that overall sense of the unknown is just overwhelming and overrides everything. And then now we here in Lincoln have, unlike a lot of other libraries, we never fully closed. A lot of libraries throughout the state and throughout the country just completely shut their doors so that they could kind of take a moment to step back, reflect, figure out what their game plan would be. Here in Lincoln, we, as of the 20th of March, went to pick up only curbside service. So as of the 20th, we no longer let customers into the building, but if they placed requests online or they called us, then we would fill their holds. And so we would set their things out. Right now we're doing it on a table outside of our lobby. At some of our other locations, it's in the lobby. So people request their things, we let them know they're ready, and then once they arrive, they call, they say, hey, I'm here to get my stuff, and then we put it out for them to pick up. So we're basically like fast food delivery, except that it's library materials instead of food. So that was a challenge, just in that we, especially at the beginning, just were sort of flying by the seat of our pants and trying to figure out what was safe and what we should and shouldn't do. And at that time, there was no PPE available. We were just trying to do the best we could. So as time has gone on, we have improved those processes. But now, since we did not close completely and kept distributing things, now we have thousands and thousands and thousands of items out because we've not been accepting returns. So for the past 10 weeks or 12, we've still continued to give things out, but not taken anything back. Because, once again, because of the safety aspect and wanting to get more information from health sources, from the Center for Disease Control, from the City County Health Department about how to properly handle all of these things as they come back. And what we've been finding or learning is that, generally speaking, the virus only lives about 72 hours on most surfaces. So we are now taking the returns as of the 22nd of May. We had like a return day that Friday, and then we had a return day yesterday on the 29th. So we took things the 22nd and the 29th, and once we get them back, they sit for 3 days. We let them quarantine for 72 hours, which is what these things are doing right now. They're just sitting without us handling them, and then once that 3 days is up, then we go through and we check them for damage, make sure all the pieces are there, that there's no problems with the items, check them in, and then pass them on to the next customer or back to the shelf, so that we're not distributing things to the public that may or may not be safe. Definitely our circulation has gone down in terms of the number of items that we're checking out to people. Yeah, our statistics have pretty well plummeted in terms compared to what we typically would be doing at this same time of another year. But the workload to fill the requests that we have is so much greater because there are now all these extra steps that we're taking for caution and safety and notification. So while the numbers are down, the work is just as much or more. Well, in Lincoln, the main thing is we have been desperately wanting to get a new central library downtown for the last decade. And so getting some financial support from local officials, from the mayor, city council members would be absolutely key. And especially now that we're in the pandemic and there's such high unemployment and finances are not great, a lot of communities and public libraries are facing budget cuts, as are we. And so just trying to maintain the level of service as much as we can would be helpful. For instance, I don't know if you know, but in Omaha, they've cut their staffing budget for public libraries by 50% due to the COVID virus. At this point in time, I'm not at liberty to say what exactly the proposed cuts are, but there will definitely be some just because the tax revenue is not there to support what we normally do. As a librarian and having done this for literally 34 years, the big idea is we're the foundation of democracy. We are the great equalizer for information, for access, for materials, for internet, for everything. So number one, we just make available to anyone and everyone regardless of age, race, socioeconomic status. So we really are like the common denominator of communities. But during a pandemic time such as this, I think we've demonstrated that we really serve the need for information and entertainment for our public that they may not be able to afford otherwise. Certainly, like with most places, it's economic. As large corporations come in and places like Walmart, Target, the big name, the big box stores, it really makes it so tough for those small businesses to survive, and those are really what keep the culture and the richness of your neighborhood alive. And as you drive down Havelock or as you drive down the University Place neighborhood, you can see the small businesses there that really are just struggling but hanging on to try to maintain their sense of neighborhood and community so that people don't have to necessarily drive or go on a bus 5 miles just to get groceries. Oh, the smothered grilled chicken sandwich, no doubt. Oh, and the fries and their ranch dressing.
Well, that'll do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for some future episodes where I will be interviewing some journalists from the Lincoln Journal-Star as they've covered the protests and rioting here in Lincoln.